yesterday I was on the demonstration along with a team of weekly worker comrades, and amongst the literature I picked up, I read this paper and that paper, but this is a little leaflet that was given to me by a comrade in the CPGB ML. And what attracted me particularly to it when I read it is it fitted in with what I've called the sort of Panglossian left. The Panglossian left, I think, when it comes to Ukraine, its version of events is that Russia's doing splendidly. NATO is rubbish. NATO is just about to fall apart. The United States is a busted flush. And although they don't say it, forward on Vladimir Putin, some sort of, this version of BRICS and a multipolar world, and that would be so much, better for us, apparently. Either way, you have Panglossianism when it comes to Ukraine as far as the pro-Kremlin left is concerned, but you also, I think, sadly, have a sort of Panglossian view when it comes to Israel stroke Palestine. The left sort of strangely combines this view that we're on the edge, which I share. We're on the edge when it comes to Palestine of a second Nakba, a second catastrophe, a second mass expulsion of people, first of all from the Gaza Strip, but also the West Bank. So thus far, under Operation Iron Wall, which gets very little publicity, at least, from the BBC, the mainstream media, we've had 40,000 people displaced, 1,000 people killed. My fear is that if the Daily Telegraph is right, again, it's not set in stone, and there's an attack either by Israel and by the United States on Iran, either just on their nuclear facilities or some bomb them back into the Stone Age operation, that will be used by Israel, the Netanyahu coalition government, as their excuse to go in for a second Nakba, which I would myself say that sort of has elements both of ethnic cleansing, but also elements of a genocide. Those that don't go, let them starve or we kill them. That's my fear. So in the Weekly Worker, we illustrated the situation, at least in terms of my fear, by taking the standard meme of what's happened to Palestine since 1947, with pockets of, Zionist colonization, Tel Aviv and various other bits that were bought up, paid for by the colonists, to the situation with independence. And then you get into a situation where you still have the Gaza Strip, but the West Bank consists of a series of Indian reservations, call it what you want. So you've got an open prison on the one side. If you take that situation, my fear is that what we end up is with our fifth panel of people being cleared out and there being no Palestinian Authority, no Palestinian control over the Gaza Strip. And of course, just to emphasize the point, I do not take the Trump plan as a joke. I take it deadly serious, because it isn't about the United States taking it over. It's not about the United States and Jared, his son-in-law. Maybe they make a fortune, but why Netanyahu was standing next to him beaming as he announced his Riviera plan was because he recognized the truth of it, and that is giving the green light to the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian population. In Trump's words, we'll move them out while we redevelop, but we won't allow them to return. So they're talking about Sudan, they're talking about Somalia, they're talking about Somaliland. There's always the Sinai. Egypt wouldn't like it, but you dump them. Are they going to shoot them as they come over the border? I don't know. Maybe they do. But Netanyahu wouldn't shed a tear if that happened. So the left combine that, which I think is an accurate warning. This isn't just, hyperbole. They combine that with some sort of Panglossian view of what's going on, because they misunderstand what the war aims of Netanyahu and the coalition government, and they take it on, what's the word, surface appearance. So Netanyahu is conducting a war to eliminate Hamas. He's conducting a war to rescue the hostages. Well, they haven't got all the hostages back. The war captives got some back, but Netanyahu was never concerned with that. That's what the relatives, the friends, the supporters have been saying on demonstrations in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. They know that Netanyahu isn't serious about that. He views that as a domestic nuisance. And nor would any general, and they've been saying it to the extent they're allowed to have freedom of speech, serving generals. We can't destroy Hamas. It's a political movement. And so it doesn't surprise me when we hear figures that for every militant that's been killed, we have one replacement, either in Gaza or the West Bank, or Palestinians joining in Jordan or Lebanon or wherever else they happen to be. That doesn't surprise me. Anyway, here we are, back to my friends in the CPGBML. Quote, the current ceasefire in Gaza signals a heavy defeat for the Zionist settler colonial regime in Israel and for its imperialist masters in the USA and Britain. My memory of these negotiations was of Trump strong-arming Netanyahu into going for this ceasefire. It wasn't something, in my view at least, I saw the Israeli cabinet going, Jesus Christ, we've lost so, but this is the version of events with our comrades. Facing unsustainable losses and demoralization in its armed forces, as well as a deep economic crisis and social breakdown, the Zionist regime has been forced to retreat. It's not my reading of it. Of course, Netanyahu has had difficulties. Of course, they've had losses. But if you look at his opinion poll ratings, no surprise, in the middle of this struggle, they've gone up, haven't crashed down. Is the United States saying we've suffered such a heavy blow? No, the United States is talking about clearing out the Palestinians from Gaza. I take that, as I said before, I take that seriously. You can't have your cake and eat it. If we're talking about the danger of ethnic cleansing, if we're talking about the danger of genocide, we can't combine that with victory for the forces of resistance. The forces of resistance can lose sometimes. The reason why people have turned to Hamas is out of desperation, not out of strength. And we shouldn't expect, the SWP still goes on about it, that the Palestinians will lead their own liberation in the whole of Palestine, get rid of the Zionist state. This is delusional. The Palestinians haven't got the strength. Israel is a hugely strong military power, not least because it's backed to the hilt by US imperialism. True, Israel, when it comes to the court of international opinion, is a pariah. And that's why we certainly say there has to be a wider solution. And we don't think the defeat of the Palestinians is by any stretch of the imagination inevitable, but in isolation, yes, it is. And therefore I ended my article. I knew, I'd heard it from the SWP, and I'd heard it from Tony Cliff, this slogan about, the route to Palestinian liberation was through Rida, through Amman, through Cairo. I looked it up, or found the origin of it. It's George Habash, first General Secretary of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, and going back before that, the first chair of the PLO. We should have that slogan. So I think we should use that slogan, the route to working class unity in Palestine, is actually through the Arab revolution, but an Arab revolution led by the working class that can offer the Israeli Jewish working class, the Hebrew working class, something better than being a labor aristocracy that's having many of its privileges eroded or taken away from it, over the last 20 or 30 years or so.